Welcome to Kickin' with the Rickens, redefining retirement. Gerry Ricken and Heidi Ricken Provost want to help you plan with purpose and retire with joy. Find more information, including how to reach the team, in today's show notes. Now, Kickin' with the Rickens, powered by Ricken Financial.
That would be licensed insurance professional Gerry Ricken with us this week here on Kickin' with the Rickens, redefining retirement, as always. Thank you so much for streaming this week's show. Get all the information, as Big Voice just said. You can find it here in the show notes. My name is Mark Owens. Gerry, how is this week treating you?
You know, it's great, Mark. You'll notice that I'm kind of playing Macaulay Culkin. I'm home alone here. Heidi's not with me right now. She has some other things that she had to attend to. But yeah, it's great to talk to you. It's great to talk to our audience. And, I'm just loving life.
We are going to talk a little bit here on one of the goals every week here with Kickin' with the Rickens, with the team at Ricken Financial, both here on the podcast and on the radio show, is to be fulfilled, both mentally, financially, and spiritually as well. And we don't really talk about the spiritual side much here on. We know you're both, the whole family, very active in your church and everything, but you did something recently, you were telling me off the air, that really feeds your soul personally, Gerry. What were y'all up to?
Oh, absolutely, Mark. You know that we're Roman Catholic, and I grew up in the Wichita diocese. So there are a lot of, and the Wichita diocese, by the way, has more priests per capita than any diocese in the country. They're churning out priests, and there isn't a shortage of priests in the Wichita diocese. In fact, they're actually loaning priests to other dioceses around the country, which is an interesting phenomenon. But
Airbnb priest.
But growing up in a small German Catholic community, every son of every parishioner, their aspiration was, hey, you looked at the priesthood. And I looked at that quite, often as a child, and then decided not to discern my life in that direction. Mm-hmm. So, but we've had several young men that have actually from my parish, and about 16 years ago, Sheila and I started, and they go through their seminary, a lot of them at Kenrick here in St. Louis. So I had a cousin's son who was here probably about 16 years ago. And I said, okay, these guys don't have a place to go home on the weekends. They're here for the entire semester, and they're fully occupied during the week. So they really don't get a break. They stay in the seminary, in their dorm rooms, and hang out. And that's kind of what their life is while they're studying, while they're here for those 4 years. So I said, okay, why don't we have a burgers, bourbon, and beer night for the seminarians, for the Wichita seminarians? And we've been doing that for the last 16 years, a couple times, a year, once a semester. And those guys have loved it. And we've gotten to know them and understand, their calling, and really just enjoy their company and just let them come in a home and relax for a while. And that's been a lot of fun for us. There's been some late nights, like 2-3 in the morning, just discussing life, liberty, and the pursuit of the priesthood. But it's been a lot of fun, and we get to go to their ordinations on occasion. We get invited. So Sheila and I went down to the Wichita area over the weekend, and we went to the ordination, and there were 6 men being ordained. 4 of them were studied in St. Louis, so we knew 4 of them very personally. So we got to see deacons Peter, Kobe, Kyle, and Luke become Father Peter, Father Kobe, Father Kyle, and Father Luke. And it was just a very, very special time to be there, and very spiritual. And then we also had some fun with them as well, because after the ordination, both Luke and Kobe had a holy hour, happy hour event on Saturday night. So the first hour was adoration and confessions, and then it turned into a happy hour and a party and a celebration of their accomplishments. So that was a lot of fun. And then on Sunday, each one of these new priests has their first mass. And we actually attended 3 first masses, one at 1 o'clock, one at 3 o'clock, and one at 4:30. We were running around all over the Sedgwick County area and the Wichita area doing that. But it was just a lot of fun. And it was great to see them and see how they came in their first year of seminary and how they've grown into these incredible men that are leading our faith. So it was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun. And it was a lot of fun to catch up with the former, the current priests who had formerly studied it at Kenrick as well, because, we saw lots and lots of them. So that was a lot of fun.
I just love the holy happy hour.
The holy happy hour was amazing. I mean, it was adoration, and it was a very spiritual, hour. And then all of a sudden we're like, hey, let's have some fun now. So it's,
that's fantastic.
It was, yeah. And then, so it was just a lot of fun.
I'm so happy that y'all get invested, and so invested in the church, and so invested with these, these ordained ministers and these students, and if you could call that, in that holy happy hour. It's funny, as we record this, my home church here, First United Methodist Church, I grew up, I was baptized there. Me and Gretchen almost got married there, but we decided to get married at the beach instead. Caroline's a part of the church right now. I was in the choir, she's in the choir, and she's about to head out on choir tour. And every year, They take 7th to 12th graders that are in the choir, jump on a bus, and they travel somewhere across the U.S. Every year it's somewhere different. And they'll stop at a small church and sing and spend the night in the church, get up in the morning, get back on the bus, and go somewhere else. And it's her very first choir tour. And it's a moment for me, it's this full circle moment, because this is what I did when I was her age. And now she's taking this exact same trip and going to have these exact same experiences and these moments and this chance to just celebrate and to spread the word. And I'm so dang proud of her. And I'm also so excited for her, because me as a grown man now, I still look back to those days and how much fun I had on those. And it was the opportunity to go see parts of the country that never would have gone to, never would have had a reason to go to. But I'm there with my friends, and I'm there with, my best friends from church and the choir director, and we're singing and we're praying. It's so much fun. And I'm so excited for her, and I'm so lucky and blessed that they continue to do this. And I hope I hope her takeaway is as much as I had growing up as well.
Because and you don't really realize when you're growing up how important faith is, because, as a kid, but as an adult, you reflect back, it's like, wow, that those are great formative years. And to continue that through the rest of your life is, I think, one of the most important things you can do.
Yeah, and we were just talking about, I'm getting her ready, getting her excited, and she's talking about needing to charge up her watch and charge up her iPad, and I'm like, okay, now there's the big difference right there. Back in my day,
that's a huge difference.
Yeah, it was like we just had to need extra batteries for the Sony Discman. Like, that was it. We had CD player and a bunch of, we play spades in the back of the bus all day long. But anyway, I love that for you guys, and I love how invested you are in the community. And speaking of community, I know you serve the community. I do want to touch on a couple of things this week here on the Kicking with the Rickens podcast. Get more information. You can find it all here in the show notes, rickenfinancial.com. Let's talk a little taxes, because I know it's, speaking of feeling fulfilled, boy, after you write that check to the IRS, or maybe you're lucky to get a little bit of a refund back, either fulfilled in a good way or fulfilled in a bad way. But let's talk a little tax diversification, Gerry Ricken.
I love talking about tax diversification, because when people think of taxes, they think of April 15th, and they think of the preparation of the forms that you need to submit every year to prepare your income tax and let the IRS know that you've either planned effectively or planned ineffectively, and you get to cut that check or receive a little bit of refund back. I personally like to cut a check every year and not pay penalties, because I believe that we are better stewards of our money than the federal government is. So I have them use our money all year long. Amen. Just to get our money back. And especially since we're borrowing money from everyone to feed our government, because we have a shortfall. So, but I'll jump off of that soapbox now. But I truly do believe that you need to really focus every day, not April 15th, every day of the year, on tax diversification, tax planning, tax preparation, tax strategies. Let me ask this question. How many of out there know that what your biggest expense is in your lifetime? Well, it's that 5-letter word, taxes. That will be your biggest expense in your lifetime. So you need to be working with someone who focuses on that and really says, okay, what can we do to reduce that big ticket item of your lifetime? And we can reduce it by doing lots of different tax diversification strategies. Well, what is tax diversification? Well, tax diversification really says, okay, how are you investing? How should you be investing? What are you investing in? how are those items taxed? And what are you really doing to yourself to prevent or eliminate or reduce taxes on your investments? That's what we're really talking about. Diversification, when you think about it in the investment world, people talk about diversifying your portfolio from a market risk perspective. Yes, that is crucial. You need to be investing based upon your risk tolerance. So that's the first thing we do is determine what your risk tolerance is, and then we create a plan that matches that risk tolerance, or as close to that risk tolerance as we can possibly get. But people don't talk about in our business, except Heidi and I talk about this every day with every client, every prospect that comes through our door. What is your tax diversification that you should focus on? Well, when you look at that, it's like perhaps you would have some Roth conversions, some Roth IRAs, some Roth 401ks. A lot of people they misunderstand what a Roth is. And for those of you who don't know what a Roth is, you pay the tax up front and then you never pay tax again on its earnings. So it becomes tax-free in retirement, which, tax-free money is the best kind of money we can have in retirement, unless it's free money. Free money, I'll take that every time, but tax-free money is the second best. So if we don't have to pay tax in retirement, we're just going to be a lot better off in living our lifestyle and really living with joy, planning with purpose and living with joy, because that's what our motto is here. So when you look at the Roth component of it, people say, well, and you hear these talking heads a lot of times, and Instagram, TikTok, you name it out there in the social world and on the internet, there are lots of talking heads that say, oh, you need to do this, convert 100% of your IRAs to Roth. No, you don't. You can have traditional funds or regular IRA funds that are not Roth that you will not pay tax on in the future. So if you're listening to blanket advice, you would never listen to blanket advice for your health. Why listen to blanket advice for your wealth? It just doesn't make sense. Each one of you out there should have a plan that's like a fingerprint, is different than everyone else's. You shouldn't do what Joe down the street said you should do, or your neighbor, you were talking to him across the fence. He said, hey, this is what I did. You should do it. That isn't advice. That's just someone's opinion. And everyone has an opinion, and we don't like opinions. We like facts. And we want to base everything on factual information and make sure that you are paying your fair share, but no more than that. And when we say your fair share, that can be as little as zero in retirement, because we have had the opportunity to work with a lot of people and do tax strategies where they do not pay any taxation in retirement. Right. And that's our overall objective. Sometimes we cannot get there, but sometimes we can get there. So it really depends upon your situation, your specific needs, your specific wants, and your specific circumstances, because everyone is different. Just like I said, everyone has a different fingerprint and everyone's plan is different. So you shouldn't listen to anyone else except a trained professional who is focusing on taxes and reducing those taxes for the rest of your life.
Yeah, and that's the team at Ricken Financial. And, you mentioned everyone's seen online, everybody's seen the stories, the clickbait. We've talked about it before, the finfluencers.
Yes.
Those are
who aren't those finfluencers. Yeah, financial influencers are not bound by the SEC, right? The insurance commissioners, right. Any regulatory body. They are just talking heads out there that don't know squat, basically. Mm-hmm. But they say it with conviction, so everybody believes them, or a lot of people believe them, and then they bring it, or people write articles all the time. People bring those articles to us, and it's laughable when I read these articles. It's like, so excuse me.
Do you get that a lot?
Not true.
Do you get that a lot of people?
We actually do. And actually, we get that from existing clients. Hey, you haven't talked about this. I said, because you're not going to do that, because that's not true. So it actually fascinates me on what people can put out there in the universe that is not based on fact.
Yeah.
It's based on opinion or based on speculation or just based on BS.
Yeah.
And people believe it.
And we've talked about it before.
It's the clickbait. I mean, the clickbait world is out there.
Especially for a lot of these, TikTok finfluencers, they just need the views. They just need the clicks because they get paid from that. Yeah, exactly.
That's how they make money. Then they can advertise on their site and they get paid for the advertisements, and that's how they make a living. So I can't fault them because that's how they make a living, but I can fault them for the information they're putting out there.
So if you do hear something, you see something, you see an article, you see a video, you see a reel, and you're like, let me verify that. Don't be afraid to send that to the team at Ricken Financial. You said something a couple of minutes ago, and we'll slowly start to land the plane with this one. You mentioned that our biggest expense in our lifetime. And when you said that, I honestly thought you were going to say our house, our mortgage, because I'm thinking like that's our biggest expense.
Sure.
And then you said it, and you're so right. It's taxes. A lot of people don't realize that you may pay off your house, but you're never going to be done paying the IRS.
Well, that's exactly right.
Yeah,
that's exactly right. Unless you do the appropriate tax strategies and tax planning involved along the way. But Roths aren't the only thing out there. You should still have traditional money in your portfolio, because you don't have to pay tax on that because you have, deductions and deductions will always be out there. You should also think about qualified charitable distributions. You should also think about tax-free retirement plans in the form of index universal life. You should also take your HSA, we believe, and save it and don't spend it until you're retired, until you're after age 65. Then we can show you creative ways to get that money back without spending it on current bills, but on previous bills that you had. You should maybe look at muni bonds, so look at tax loss harvesting, look at cost segregation, look at net unrealized appreciation. There are so many things that you need to really focus on that you really don't know about.
Yeah.
We know about those because we've spent our life in taxation. We spent our life in tax planning, tax preparation, tax strategy. So we've known for years and years and years how to plan for retirement effectively by utilizing all these things that are out there. And when people think about the IRS, a lot of people are afraid of the IRS. You shouldn't be afraid of the IRS. You should use the Internal Revenue Code to your favor because it is actually written to be favorable to people. People don't understand that because they don't know how to use it, how to read it. We read it every day. We get updates on it every day. And I know that when the One Big Beautiful Bill Act passed last July 4th, was signed by the president, it said these changes are permanent. Well, we all know that the only thing in tax law is not permanent. It's always change.
Yep.
So things will change in the future. But what we want to do is take advantage of the lower tax rates we have right now and see if we can help you reduce the burden of taxation or potentially eliminate the burden of taxation eventually in retirement. We're not saying don't pay your taxes. It's a matter of when and how much you pay.
That's right. A proper plan to help mitigate taxes in retirement with the help of the team at Ricken Financial. Again, we'll say it every week here. The IRS doesn't retire when you do. Let's reach out to the team at Ricken Financial, begin this conversation, find all the information here in the show notes at rickenfinancial.com. Good place to hit pause this weekend. We will continue the conversation about taxes. I mean, it feels like every week we talk taxes because that's how important they are. But Gerry, as always, thank you. Thank you for the information and the education this week. We're back next week, but before we get out of here, take us home.
Every day's a holiday. Life is short. Laugh hard.
This has been Kickin' with the Rickens, redefining retirement.
Insurance products are offered through the insurance business Ricken Financial LLC. Ricken Financial LLC is also an investment advisory practice that offers products and services through Impact Partnership Wealth LLC, a registered investment advisor. IPW does not offer insurance products. The insurance products offered by Ricken Financial LLC are not subject to investment advisor requirements. Investing involves risk, including the potential loss of principal. Any references to protection, safety, or lifetime income generally refer to fixed insurance products, never securities or investments. Insurance guarantees are backed by the financial strength and claims paying abilities of the issuing carrier. This podcast is intended for informational purposes only. It is not intended to be used as the sole basis for financial decisions, nor should it be construed as advice designed to meet the particular needs of an individual situation. Ricken Financial LLC is not permitted to offer, and no statement made during the show shall constitute tax or legal advice. Our firm is not affiliated with or endorsed by the U.S. government or any governmental agency. The information and opinions contained herein provided by third parties have been obtained from sources believed to be reliable, but accuracy and completeness cannot be guaranteed by Ricken Financial LLC.
Please remember that converting an employer plan account to a Roth IRA is a taxable event. Increased taxable income from the Roth IRA conversion may have several consequences. Be sure to consult with a qualified tax advisor before making any decisions regarding your IRA.
Tax preparation and tax advisory services services are offered through Ricken Financial. These services are not offered by IPW and are not subject to investment advisor requirements. These services referenced are an outside business activity not offered through or supervised by IPW.